Hi, my name's Sophia, and I'm here to review Netflix original Baby Reindeer. Show begins as Martha sits down at the bar with Donny behind the bar serving drinks. Martha starts spitting game right out the gate, and her rizz is off the charts, breaking Donny's rizz-ometer. She's a lawyer, she owns fancy property, she's the go-to for the biggest political minds in the game, such as David Cameron, Nick Clegg, and Alex Salmond. Donny thinks if all this is true, then why can't you afford a cup of tea? The fact that the cup of tea was given on the house was Martha's way of gauging that Donny is a bit of a sap, a sucker, an easy mark, a big dummy, a pea-brain, a thirsty bitch, a hungry hippo, an alabaster salamander, a baby reindeer. Donny thinks he loves her giddy laugh. The show's opening credits like to show drunken misspelled text sent from Martha to Donny, and they say they're sent from her iPhone, but Martha doesn't own an iPhone. They're sent from her laptop, and the sent from an iPhone part is often misspelled. I'm assuming she never gets the daily word right on Wordle. Donny is a prop comedian. Prop comedians are often hated. Like mimes, they're the lowest of the low in many people's eyes. He is bombing on stage with a bit about a mink hat that is a prop mink that's probably gorilla glued to the hat. Martha tells Donny some people run away by packing their bags, others run away by standing in the same place for too long. Donny finds it to be poetic. Donny starts imagining Martha's past, a lifetime of rejection and being looked over. He sympathizes with her as he grows more attached to this mysterious woman full of obvious lies and unconditional obsession. They start planning to go on a picnic together. Things are becoming real. From workplace banner with his favorite customer to a day outside, tea and biscuits or whatever British people eat. What could go wrong? Other patrons at the bar start to bully Donny for liking this older woman. Fat phobia is implied as they call her a supermodel. Martha's a bigger-sized woman who isn't fazed by the gremlins trolling her. While talking to Donny, Martha says he can hang her curtains. Donny says, "I'll hang your curtains" as a double entendre, and then the trolls laugh at her for daring to exist, daring to be alive, daring to breathe. One of her trolls is just as heavy as she is. The misogyny is mixed with hypocrisy like a cocktail of toxic masculinity. Planning the picnic, Martha offers to let Donny pour booze on her chest and lick it off, while Donny is distracted by the picnic basket, which still has a pricey price tag on it. He says the picnic isn't happening, and then she attempts to bargain by pointing out that she also bought a brand new quilt just for the occasion. He says picnics are what lovers do. Martha asks what friends do. Donny says coffee, and so a play date is arranged. Martha begins to embarrass Donny immediately. He can't take her anywhere. Donny wants Martha to use her inside voice, while Martha wants Donny inside of her. Donny tells Martha she is just a friend. Martha says friends with benefits. Donny says just friends. It's duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, as Martha's horniness looks on with a rifle, unsure which is true. Martha tells Donny his comedy act is shite and offensive. Donny says it's satire. Martha says it's thin satire. Martha starts shouting and pounding the table. Donny asks for a check. He starts to wonder about her, but then at his comedy act, as he starts bombing, she becomes his perfect plant, laughing and playing along and getting the crowd on his side. Like Talladega Nights, Martha is shaking and Donny is baking. He starts to really like her. It wouldn't be the first time he forms a deep bond with someone who helps him with his comedy career, and it won't be the first time that person takes advantage of him. Martha asks Donny if he ever wanted to unzip someone and climb inside of them, kind of like she's a furry and he's a fursuit, or maybe more like he's a warm winter coat and she wants to hole up in a small cave and wait out the snowstorm. She wants to be him in a way because she is a stalker. She stalks people. As the show will reveal, she has done so many times before, and stalking is just how she lives her life. But stalking someone is giving them attention, a form of approval, two things Donny has craved for all of his life. She'll become his abuser, but in a way it will be co-abusive, with Donny leading Martha on and egging her on over and over. Martha is a hungry little mouse, and Donny spends the show feeding her little pieces of cheese. He's playing like he's playing hard to get, but it takes two to tango, and this dance routine will last the course of all 7 episodes. She says she'd miss biscuits living inside of him, so he says he'd feed her some every now and then. Martha tells Donny she loves him, but Donny doesn't love himself, so he doesn't love her back. She apologizes and is rough on herself for spilling the beans. He reassures her that everything is fine. She mimes slowly unzipping him from the tip of his chin down to his belly button while making a zip noise, then pokes his belly button and makes a boop noise and laughs. Donny Googles Martha's name plus the word lawyer. Top search result says deranged lawyer struck off after stalking verdict. The second search result says deranged lawyer starts targeting barrister's deaf child. The third says she never stops victim plea to the judge after the ruling. The fourth says serial stalker sentenced to 4.5 years with the picture of her face. I had a convicted stalker stalking me, repeats in his head as Happy Together by the Turtles plays in the background as a sarcastic way to raise the stakes with boomer music. Martha comments on a picture on his Facebook account. She says, "Happy reindeer." Looking closer at the picture, he is in a crowded bar with Darian. Darian is a man who, and I will say this now, turn off this video if listening to me talk about sexual assault will be triggering to you, as the show deals with sexual assault as a major theme. Darian drugged and raped Donny repeatedly, and he was coming back to let it happen again and again because Darian made him a slightly successful comedian and was promising him jobs in show business as a writer. Tony, Donny's fake name he uses to pick up hotties on a trans dating site, which must not be strictly T for T, as being a trans man is not one of the lies Donny will tell Terry as the plot unfolds. sits down with Terry. Donny takes Terry to a dimly lit bar because he is transphobic. Is Donny a chaser? I mean, he works at a bar and he does serve up Diet Coke, so he's definitely supplying chasers. Anyway, Terry is painting the picture of Donny as a man who seems bashful and reluctant to date a trans woman. Though she doesn't come right out and say it, she knows. Danny is an SA survivor, and the show will reveal he was also reluctant to sleep with his ex-girlfriend after coming home time and time again from weekends at Darian's house, where Darian would overdose Donny on all sorts of drugs and have his way with him after he passed out. Real rock star stuff, all the problematic behavior with none of the catchy hooks to sing along with, none of the punchy stadium rock anthems, making Darian a villain I don't even love to hate. I just hate him. Donny narrates heavily throughout the show. After the date, he narrates a bit about Terry. He says he never expected to fall in love. Terry is a love interest, arguably second so to Martha, who's sort of the star of the whole show. Certainly an active antagonist for our protagonist Donny, but also very much his other, perhaps main love interest. But despite being a trans woman, Terry is not simply a prop. Her queer suffering is not the sole purpose of her presence. She is played by Navamwao, a trans woman. She is captivating and gorgeous in this role. The show puts her in a position as a reasonable piece of baloney, sandwiched between the toxic and manipulative behavior of both Donny and Martha. While she isn't really presented as having any real flaws, she also isn't overly idealized. Really given everything her character serves to do in order to progress and elevate the plot, she does so just about perfectly. Look, Donny is transphobic and also in love with a trans woman, so half of him wants to put her on a pedestal as the perfect woman, and the other half wants to tear her down as a freak, a shameful embarrassment to his cis life, a monster. I've dealt with Donnies in my life on many occasions. They're not always bad people. Sometimes they're facing their own prejudice in real time and fighting with it, as we get caught in the crossfire. At times we end up being abused in the process. Martha lets it be known that she is behaving like a jealous lover and that she would lose it if she found out he was seeing anyone. So Donny goes to Terry and tells her a bit about Martha and puts it all on her to make herself scarce, even more scarce than Donny is already forcing her to be. Donny is a bit of a cat, and if Terry ever had anyone else in her life, the show fails to let it be known. Regardless, Donny spends the whole show acting very shady and suspect to Terry in many ways. Terry does not like the fact that Martha's pet name for Donny is Baby Reindeer. Terry asks Donny to call the cops on Martha. Donny won't seriously discuss Martha with the cops until late into the show. Terry says she's not hiding from anyone and threatens to challenge Martha to a triathlon like in the Power Rangers. Things start to sour a bit between Martha and Donny as Donny tries to set some new boundaries. Terry takes Donny to a gay bar, the gayest one in town according to Terry, to see if he'll crack. On the dance floor, the song Cars plays, and Terry tells Donny it's illegal to sleep with someone under false identity, big if true. That would mean 90% of Grindr is in trouble, unless Big Balls 52 is his real name. As the lies he tells Terry begin to collapse, he has a panic attack. Terry tells Donny there's a reason you're keeping her around. Yes, Terry, it's called Donny's ego. He needs to be desired by more than one woman at a time, while pitting the two against each other, making them both think the other is just a friend and nothing more. Donny, you're a victim in some ways, and in others you are most certainly a villain. Terry gives Donny a kiss on the lips and tells him to come home with her. His narration says she's the woman of his dreams as they take the bus home, but he is worried that the people on the bus will judge his T-girl love interest, so he treats her like an ugly duckling, even though he should be so lucky to be with this ducky. Terry speaks in her nasally voice. In her thick American accent, she asks for a proper kiss. The show is set in England, making me wonder if she was written as a Brit. But this bus is in a gay bar, and he hovers away like a spooky, scruffy, bony little ghost. Martha confronts Donny on his way home and tells Donny he's really getting on her nerves with all this dilly-dally hot and cold shit. Martha grabs Donny's little Donny and forces a dry handy-dandy over the pants. Donny is a fan of letting things happen to him that the person he's actually with wouldn't be a fan of and then not telling them. If he feels icky, it's not cheating. Terry gives Donny 3 minutes to explain. Terry says he treats his stalker better than he treats her, is more honest with her. The problem with finding someone on a dating site is you just give each other a little window into each other's lives. Maybe after a while the whole door opens. Maybe the little window is all you ever get to see. Donny opens the door a crack and changes his profile on the trans dating site using his real name and job title now. Flashback to him moving in with his ex, Keely, who he told Martha was just an old friend. He ends up staying in the house he lived in with Keely, married to her mother, as he puts it. Liz, Keely's mom, hands Donny a yellow jacket her husband wore before he died. He's now the man in the yellow hat for Curious George, maybe Sid from Final Fantasy VI. Present time, Martha breaks bread with Liz after following Donny home. Donny wants Martha to leave. Martha wants to stay. Liz says she should. Martha tells Donny he blocked her on Facebook. Imagine if you couldn't block your stalkers on Facebook. It'd somehow be even worse than it already is. He threatens to call the cops and she vanishes from his life. Credits roll and the show is over. Crisis averted. Now she's waiting for him at the bus stop. Keely tells Donny his girlfriend is a psycho and she keeps stalking her on Facebook. Donny says she's not his girlfriend. Keeley tells him he loves drama, anything to take him away from the stasis of his life. He says that either Martha backs off or Keeley tells Liz, and Donny will be out of there faster than he can say mates rates, which is pretty fast, because I can say mates rates 3 times fast while chewing bubblegum pretty fast. Mates rates, mates rates, mates rates. Martha starts stalking and catcalling Donny as he walks home from work. Martha wastes away as her obsession for Donny further takes over her every waking moment. Donny sees Martha's bachelor's degree in law. He sits down with her at her home and tells her she needs to stop hanging around his home just to catch a glimpse of him. He begs her and explains to her that London is a city he needs and he can't afford to live in that city otherwise. In a moment of pure gaslighting by Donny, he tells Martha he's breaking up with her. What? How? You two were never together. You've been playing with Terry's heart and playing with Martha's heart, and while you and Martha were busy being co-abusive, key term here being co-abusive, you've been hurting and using each other. There's no innocent bystander here. Will you stop bullshitting the women in your life for 2 seconds and take a breath? Terry shows up to the semifinals of the stand-up competition that Donny is in. He hasn't seen her in weeks. He asks her if she's serious, and she says, deadly. She brought her friends in order to stop her from sliding into a familiar pattern of shame-based behavior with horrible men. He does fairly well in his stand-up set until Martha rolls up and starts yelling at him and painting him as a perv. Tara tells Donny she wants to meet Martha. She's a therapist who could get through to her. Donny says she's insane. There's no getting through to her. Donny and Terry patch things up. Terry saw Donny change his profile on the dating site. Martha shows up and asks who's the skank. Martha says a bunch of really horrible transphobic, racist, and misogynistic stuff to Terry, then assaults her. The scene is really hard to watch. Terry tells her to F off right before the assault, with Terry being knocked to the ground and clawed at. There's a shot of Terry squirming away in terror, her legs prominently displayed as she does, and it shouldn't be hot, but it is. Donny tells Martha to get out of his life. Martha's not going to listen. Look, there's another 4 episodes. We're running halfway through the runtime. Of course she won't listen. Martha's the cat that came back the very next day. He thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. She just couldn't stay away. She's a boomerang. No matter how many times Donny tosses her, she just keeps coming back. She's the Halloween franchise. She just keeps getting sequels, reboots, and revivals. She's gump, she's gump, she's gump. She's in Donny's head. She's gump, she's gump, she's gump. She might be dead. She's the Mighty Buddy Boss Stones. The last hurrah. Nah, she'll do it again. The rascal queen behind the bars is the one in front of them. She's the groundhog at Groundhog's Day. The McRib. The single white female plus Cape Fear times chasing Amy. That was take 1. I promise. Donny says it took him 6 months to report Martha. He doesn't tell the police that Martha assaulted Terry, or her history in jail for stalking the barrister. He really tells them nothing at all. Later he will lie and try to make people believe he had filed a legitimate police report.